Hi everyone, welcome to another brand new artcast. Today, I'm going to do a drawing of the missing link, legendary and mysterious pro wrestler of the, 80s, but honestly, the dude wrestled long before that. I think probably in the 70s is when he started. The guy who ultimately became the missing link. His name was Dewey something. I don't know, drawing a blank. Anyway, something else I find really interesting about the missing link is, I think he looks a lot like a buddy of mine, Joe. I mean, Joe doesn't paint his face up or anything like that, but it looks like if he did, he'd look like this. Anyway, we lost my buddy Joe about a little over a year ago in a weird, mysterious hiking type incident. Really sad and unexpected. He was hiking, I think, and he was found at the bottom of a cliff, maybe he was trying to get close to the edge for a picture or just for the view or whatever. He was all by himself and slipped. Crazy. Man, that was so weird. It was surreal when I found out about that. He was a strange and interesting guy. We were friends mainly through the UFC. He was like my guy that I watched the fights with when there was a big fight. And tonight, Ronda Rousey fights Holly Holm. We definitely would be getting together to watch this fight. He got really fired up for fights. Anyway, the missing link, dedicated to my buddy Joe. I guess. I don't know if he even knew who the missing link was. I just have always thought of him. Link reminds me of him. And I've talked a fair amount about my love of pro wrestling in the 80s. The missing link was always a guy who I found, it's not like he was my favorite wrestler or whatever, but I liked to watch him wrestle because it was interesting. You didn't see him very often. He moved around in different promotions a lot and stuff, but it just seemed like a rarity when you'd actually see him, which made it more special. Anyway, I did a Dusty Rose not long ago, and actually I have a Roddy Piper I've been meaning to finish up. I started it a good couple months ago now, but I haven't really. I do that a lot. I have a lot of cards in my box that I just carry around that were started at some point and I just left them, and some of them from years ago that I sometimes pick up and finish and sometimes I never do. I used to draw, well, I shouldn't say used to because I do still, but in stages more. So see how right now I'm going in at the very beginning stage with the pencil. Now generally speaking, my pattern has been to put it away after I do the pencil portion and come back to it. And I'm getting a little bit better about sometimes just going right with it. But it gives me a chance to take another look. For instance, right there, I'm getting the feeling like his eyes are too far apart. So that's why I usually do that, but I don't know, I think it's also good to get in the habit of trusting yourself a little bit more and being a little more spontaneous with your drawing. Something it's not my strong suit, spontaneity. I like to make sure I'm doing things the right way or doing something that I'm going to be happy with, or however you want to explain that one. Um, so let's see. Boy, I feel like I have plenty to talk about if I can organize my thoughts enough while I'm drawing. I love this song, but I'm going to turn it down a notch. Thought I had a playlist that's mostly without lyrics, but that one's got loud and clear. So anyway, alright, I'll try and get you a little bit updated on what's been going on with me. I'm going to be a daddy any day now. Really, let's see. The official date that, the hospital has assigned is November 18th, which is today's the 14th, so in 4 days. So it really could be any day. My wife thinks that the date should be the 15th. However, I also don't know that she feels like she's quite ready, as in it may go later than the 18th too. You never know. You just never know. So that's exciting, scary, yeah, all that stuff. And it's, it causes a ripple effect of changes in our lives, too. And one of those things, this has kind of been in limbo for a while now, but one of those things is ultimately that it's going to lead to me doing art full-time. And I don't know if I've actually said that out loud on an artcast yet or not, because, I don't know, I've been kind of dancing around it just because the way that things played out. I tried to get a leave of absence from work and that didn't work out, and it can be kind of complicated. Obviously I will get a leave of absence once the baby comes, but they didn't think that getting prepared for a baby was a good enough valid reason to take a leave of absence from work. And so I've been ready to go full-time with artwork for a while now, and I've just had to kind of hold that thought. But I'm ready. So that's going to be, what's going to happen is, at least for the start, as a trial run, for the first few months or whatever, I will be staying home with baby and drawing when I can. Now I know that's a reality check. I've been warned by other artists. You're not going to be able to get anything done with a baby. And I'm somewhat prepared for that too. I'm just going to try and make the best use of the time that I can. And also part of it too is, my wife will be obviously staying home with the baby at the very start too. And then even when she goes back to work, her schedule is such that she often works a few long days in a week and then has the rest of the week off. So there will be a lot of times that we're both here. And theoretically during those times, I will have more help with the baby, so I'll be more likely to get work done. So the way it may work out, it's not going to be as black and white as this, is that when my wife's home, I'm drawing, and when she's not home, I'm taking care of the baby. We'll see. Let's see. Cut myself off here as I think about what I want to do. I was thinking I'd do cool grays on this bad boy, and then add in color later and give it some color. But that also might dull down the color parts. I'm okay with that to an extent. Maybe I should do the colors first. Let's try that. So let's get his little mask drawn in here a little more accurately first. I'm trying to get a little looser with my pencil under sketch. I've been using Sketchy. I've mentioned that. I posted at least, I think, just one video of me on Sketchy. I was going to do some more of those too. Where I just people upload their own photos, and I've been doing a couple baby drawings, I guess, in preparation of I'll be drawing my own baby soon. Thought it might be some good practice, I guess. But anyway, so I pull up a drawing of whatever I feel like, but a baby usually, or an old man with a lot of character in his face, or a photo with some really good good dramatic shadows or whatever, and I do like a 10-minute warm-up sketch, kind of like this, only full range of values. And so I do it real quick and more spontaneous than I usually draw, and that's been going really well. I'd like to make that a daily warm-up thing, but it really isn't yet. Gotta find the right blue here. It doesn't have to match perfectly. I want a blue that I like, but also is pretty close to what you see there. This might be it. Nope. Well, maybe I'll go limpy at first. Go with powder blue and then go over with another darker one. Yeah. See, that's closer to the blue I'm looking for, but I want something with a little more pigment to it too, a little more pop. So, yeah, starting basically now, very soon, whatever, I will be transitioning to artwork full-time. Full-time artist / stay-at-home daddy. Something I've been looking forward to for quite a while on both fronts. And we'll see how it goes. It's awesome, it's scary, it's basically all of those things. And I really want to make it work. I really want to do so well at it that I don't have to go back to a day job. But we'll see. I just don't know that for sure. It's going to be a little more of a dull green, huh? Or do I want to make it brighter colors than it actually is? That's actually a lot closer. I might combine the two a little bit. Do I have one lighter than this? It's great having a lot of markers to choose from, but it also makes it harder sometimes to find what you really want. So I'm going to go with this one first. It's a little light. So there we go. And then I'll go back in some areas with that other one that I just put aside. This is VG90 Gray Sky, and then I'll mix in VG93 Green Gray. If you notice, I'm just going straight with the markers over the pencil portion without using the multi-liner. Well, it almost feels like this needs more ink. That's a habit I'm trying to get into. Haven't quite done it yet. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. How did I get the... I think I got the carpenters here. Didn't know that was on this playlist. So yeah, what am I going to do when I'm doing art full time? I got to get more organized, for sure. I tend to forget when to post, what I've posted where, if I do a new drawing. Forget what I'm doing. So I got to get way more organized. Yeah, see, I don't love that. It's kind of too big of a jump. I need one in between. That's alright, we're just going to go with it nice and ugly like that. It'll work out. You got to trust that it'll work out. Oh man, I had some other things I was gonna talk about specifically. Who knows what? Oh, one of the things I could do on that note is get way more organized with these artcast type things that I'd like to do, just like this. Because right now I'm doing this for me, really. I know that when I post a video like this that's half hour or more, only a few people actually watch it. Ideally, I would like to get a viewership, but I'm pretty much just going at it. You know, just trying to keep going for myself so I don't have these big gaps in between videos, and that way if and when I do get more viewers, I don't know, I've discovered artists before and gone back and watched some of their older videos, so I kind of want to have that continuity, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm still not loving that. I'm not sure if I don't have the right green yet, or that actually we're going to go with the bright. That works. I wanted this to have more of a bright feel to it anyway, even though his, the actual photos got a dullness to it. So anyway, my buddies from the Artcasters, they come up with a weekly topic, and it's like, I'm going to talk about this. Or Will Terry is another one. He's like, this video is going to be called, Why Do I Stink as an Artist? Or whatever. Why don't I get more commissions? Or why do the people who hire me take advantage of me? Something like that was one of his recent ones. And I could definitely be better at that, is what I'm saying. I could get, ooh, dang it, I don't have my black. I'm not going to dig for it right now. I'm just going to go with this. And I could, come up with a topic. Today, I'm going to talk about this while I draw. And it would probably help me stay a little more focused. I like to be more spontaneous than that and not have to think, That's part of it. So I said I wasn't going to do the multi-liner, but of course I always will go in with some. I just didn't outline the whole thing this time like I sometimes do. So I was a big pro wrestling fan as a kid, of course, which I already mentioned. One of the things that played out in is I wasn't a kid who got in a lot of fights or anything like that. But, in fact, I never did high school or beyond, but I did get in a couple in grade school and middle school. And pro wrestling played a role in the way that I fought when I got into fights, because it's the only way I knew how to fight. I'll tell a couple of stories, just for kicks. Let's see, where's a good place to start? I may have told this story before. I know I've told it on Facebook. I'll tell it here on a video. I don't think I've told it on a video, but I will. So, when I was in 4th grade, I was getting bullied by one of the neighborhood kids pretty bad. And, I don't know, probably just about everybody has had to deal with a bully at some point. And it's like, I don't know, what do you do when the bully is, older than you and bigger and stronger? Well, That's not what I was dealing with here. She was older than me. But she was a she. And I think her name was Amber. You know, there's the theory that that type of thing would happen, because maybe she had a crush on me, I don't know. Maybe she just was older than me and knew that she was a girl and so I couldn't hit back. Maybe that was it, I'm not really sure there either. All I know is I was tormented, and I knew I wasn't supposed to hit her, and I was like, well, what do I do then? This is getting out of control. Like, I'd be just at the bus stop, and she would just come up and kick me in the shin really hard. And, you know, I gotta act tough like it didn't hurt, but man, that fucking hurt. And I'd get so mad, but I was also a shy, quiet kid, so I usually probably didn't even say anything. I just took it and tried to pretend it didn't hurt. So then she'd kick me again even harder, trying to get a reaction. I remember at some point going to my 4th grade teacher and explaining this whole situation and saying, like, what do I do? Like, this girl's tormenting me. I don't remember what she told me. I'm pretty sure she didn't say to do what I ultimately did. But here's how it went. I finally got in my head, alright, it's on. Like, I've put up with enough of this crap. We're going. Me and her, we're gonna have it out, right? Alright, so what's my plan? Well, you would think the plan would be the next time she hits me, or kicks me in the shin or whatever, I just get her right back. That would make a lot of sense, right? Nope, not for me. I was like, I know. We're on the bus together. We're going to get dropped off at the bus stop here pretty soon. And I know she's like a few seats behind me on the bus, so after I get off the bus, she's going to be 10 steps behind me or whatever. And there's no other kids in between me and her. Alright, here it is. As soon as the bus pulls away, I'm just going to turn around and give out a primal scream and run at her and nail her with a clothesline. So that's what I did. I was shocked when she didn't, flip through the air and go down. Every time I ever saw somebody get clotheslined on pro wrestling, that's what happened. They go flying. So this was kind of unreal. She took it. I was like, man. And then she was like, what the hell are you doing? What was that for? So then I think I slapped her at that point. Or like kind of a pansy punch, without really closing my fist. I took a swing at her. And I think we were either choking each other and slapping each other or something. We each got in about 3 or 4 hits probably. Maybe she wasn't even hitting back. Maybe she was stunned. But I know I got in a few pops and she was going, what are you doing? What's wrong? And then her neighbor came out. We were right in front of her house, like 2 houses down. I lived up the hill a little bit. Her neighbor came out and yelled at me. So I cried and ran up the hill. And her sister, who was another couple years older than we were, called my house and yelled at my mom and said, like, I'm bullying her and this and that. And I was like, I'm sorry. But she had it coming. And the end result is she never ever did a mean thing to me again. It totally worked, standing up to the bully. But I always laughed because I hit her with a clothesline first thing. So there's that one. That was fun. We're Facebook friends now. We've had laughs about that whole thing and how it went down. It's pretty funny. So that was my first real fight, I think. I don't know. Beat up a girl. Yep. Bucket list. Check. Good thing, 'cause I don't want to have to do that again. Do that now and I go to jail and stuff. So let's see, where are we? See See, I gotta remember what I'm doing here, too. Then in 6th grade, there was this kid, Brian. He was friends with a guy who I was friends with before, but we kind of like fell out of graces. We were really good friends in grade school, you know, up through 5th grade or something, and then once we got to middle school, he was a year younger than me. Once we got to middle school, I don't know why, but we weren't friends anymore, and he got to be close friends with some other people, and so then they would like either, you know, I don't know if they really picked on me or just tried to give me shit or were mean to me, or maybe I was mean too. I don't really remember. But anyway, there was this kid, actually, I think I said 6th grade. I was in 8th grade at this point, and this other kid was a 6th grader. But I was a nerdy 8th grader, and he was a cool, popular 6th grader, right? So he would just be a jerk to me, and I usually just ignored him and didn't really care too much. I didn't like the guy, but I'm sure I've told this story, but I'm halfway through it, so I'm going to tell it again. He, you know, the buses, back then, they'd load tons of us kids on one bus. And I got on the bus once, after school, and there's only one place for me to sit. There's a school bag already in that seat, but every other seat already has 3 people in it. You're packed in like sardines. And this one's only got one person's bag there. And I was like, oh, guess I'm sitting here. Well, lo and behold, that Brian kid comes up, gets on the bus. He's like, this is my seat. Like, I put my stuff here. And I was like, well, yeah, that's okay. But I got nowhere else to sit, so I'm sitting here too. No, you're not, dude. Get up. You gotta move. Nope, sorry. So I just sat there, and we kind of argued, but it was a one-way argument. It was just him saying, get up, and me saying, like, just sitting there, holding my ground, I guess. And anyway, he finally decided, like, he was mad that I was ignoring him, and he just took a swing. I think he didn't punch me, but he sort of punched me. Just a little smack. It didn't hurt at all, but I had I'd put up with a lot of shit, but I did have a threshold at some point. And once somebody hits me in the face, I was like, all right, well, I guess it's on. So I stood up, and I started swinging back. But what I did, again, going back to the pro wrestling thing, what I did this time was I grabbed his hair. Because that's what they do in wrestling. If you ever saw it, they get you backed into the corner, they grab your hair, and then they hit you with these like looping roundhouse punches, which look a lot harder than they really are. And that's what I did. I grabbed his hair and started hitting him. And he just like turtled up and tried to cover his face and sat back down in the seat. I think he was shocked that I fought back. I don't think he expected that at all. I think he just thought he looked tough, telling me what to do, and then he was getting frustrated when that wasn't working. Anyway, and the bus driver goes, "Boys!" And I stopped. I was like, oh man, I'm in big trouble now. I had never been in trouble as a kid. And I didn't get in trouble that time either. We just, we stopped, and I let him up, and he moved seats. That's right, fucker. You move now. I ain't moving. I won this seat. But what was actually kind of funny is I think out of embarrassment, he didn't know what to do other than he still tried to bully me the rest of the bus ride. He was like, oh, you're real tough. Like, next time we fight, are you going to pull my hair again? I'm just like, next time? What are you talking about? Anyway, I was like, I'm pretty sure I proved my point. Yeah, I pulled your hair. But you turtled up like a little sissy. Didn't want any. So that was that. That was fun times. He never bothered me again after that day. Tried to save face the rest of the bus ride, but that was it. And I didn't bother him either. I was just a kid who wanted to be left alone, you know. But I pulled off the pro wrestling move there, too. I wonder if there's any other times. Oh, I got one more. One more. This time I was the bully. I must have been fourth or fifth grade. It wasn't middle school. There was a kid in the neighborhood who nobody really liked, so he probably got picked on a lot, but he was a jerk too. You know what I mean? He was like one of those kids who nobody liked him, but there was a reason for that. He wasn't very likable, and he was mean, and maybe he was mean to me because everybody else was mean to him. I don't know. But I just remember one time he was like milling around my part of the neighborhood in my house. He lived a couple blocks away. And I just started giving him shit. Maybe I was telling him to go away, I don't know. But eventually I remember telling him, like, come on, let's go, let's fight. And I egged him on for a while, and finally he's like, alright, fine, we can fight. Okay. And then I was like, well shit, now what do we do? I don't know how to fight, I only watch pro wrestling. So, I don't really remember too much about this one, about how the fight went. It's hard to say. I was young. I remember, like, wrestling around in my front yard, you know, getting grass stains and stuff. I don't think we were punching each other, so I think it was just probably, like, takedowns and trying to stay on top and stuff like that. It wasn't a real fist fight or anything by any stretch. But at one point I got him down, and I was on top of him, and I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. But then I kind of knew, like, you're not really supposed to punch. So it's like, well, I better not punch him. What do I do? So I'm sitting on top of him, and he's not going anywhere. And I'm like, I know, every bad guy, what they always do is rake to the eyes. So I didn't, like, I just, like, you know, like, did this big raking motion on his eyes or on his face. He was like, oh my god, I'm blind! Let me up, I'm blind, I gotta go home. God, I was such a jerk. I'm telling this story, and it's pretty funny, but let's be serious, I'm the jerk in this one. So I scratched some kid's eyeball. As if that was the right way to fight. But I do kind of remember this feeling of like, crap, I got him down, but I'm not supposed to punch him. Now what do I do? And that's what I did. I raked his eyes. So, parents, don't let your kids watch pro wrestling. They fight dirty. Yeah. So if you count all those, I guess I'm 3-0 in my fights. Well, one disqualification. I actually had one other fight in middle school. Coincidentally enough, it was a friend of that same kid who was friends with the Brian dude that I beat up. This was another kid just bullying me and kept putting chalk on me, and I was like, dude, if you touch me one more time, we're throwing down. I was in 6th grade, I think, or maybe 8th. No, it was 8th grade. Those were both 8th grade. And sure enough, he put chalk on my back again, so I turned around swinging. Not much really happened in that one. I hit him a couple times, had him backed up against the teacher's desk. He hit me a couple times. Good times. We had a beer after. Called it good. Nah. Actually, him and I are Facebook friends too, and we've kind of laughed about it too. like Amber. So that's how it goes. I don't have any better fight stories than that. Just little ones. And I didn't really use a pro wrestling move there. Because I don't think I grabbed his hair. I think I grabbed his neck and pushed him back against the teacher's desk. It wasn't like, hey, I'll meet you after school. It was like, if you touch me again, I'm turning around swinging. Oh, boy. Good times. I was, though, like, that was it. That was all the fights I probably have ever had. But as big as I was into wrestling and later MMA in high school and stuff, I thought about it a lot. I had some close calls where it was like, this guy's like, I'm tired of being bullied by said kid, and I'd kind of get this plan and play out in my head how it would go if he does this again or whatever. Never really came to that with anybody else close. Man, after saying all that, I do feel like I've told at least the story of the bus fight, the 2 8th grade ones. I don't know if I told the story about beating up a girl. So last week, I finished up a rather huge project, and it was good. I don't think I'm still supposed to talk about it. I actually asked and didn't get a clear answer, so I'll wait for now to say any specifics, but it's a set where I'm the only artist, so that was good news out of it for sure. One of the reasons I took it. Without getting into too many specifics, the pay on this set was really good. That's one of the reasons I took it. Sketch cards are notorious for low pay. And I guess what I'd say I did what amounts to about a month of work and got paid well better than my monthly paycheck at my day job. So, it was a couple grand. Ultimately it'll be more than a couple grand. It'll be a couple grand plus whatever I get for my artist proofs. Now, as I'm going into art full time, if I can keep that kind of a paycheck coming in, I'll be fine. That remains to be seen, of course. That's pretty good money. But I do have couple other projects, one of them sketch card and one of them the medical drawings that I'm still doing, that are, at least one of them is open-ended. It's kind of draw as much as I can, get as much done as I can. And so even if nothing else falls into my lap, and if I don't get invited on any other card sets or whatever, I will have those two things to keep me busy for at least through the end of the year. And maybe longer. It could go quite a bit longer. I just don't really know. So I guess the setup is good, about as good as I can hope for, at least in the short term. It's the long term that's the big question mark. And in preparation for all this, I should probably rewatch some Jake Parker videos. He's really good about. I know he had a video that was like, if you're thinking about quitting your job, which is sort of where I am, but it's not really quitting. I have a free pass for a few months to take care of the baby, and so that'll be a trial run. But it's like, if you're trying to quit your job and do art full-time, these are the things you need. And I feel like I had it pretty down, had pretty close to everything that he said is important, with the biggest exception being he was like, you want to have a bunch of money saved up already, and I do not. Oh, hang on, I gotta find that black marker. I thought I Sorry about that. I got it though. Ta-da. I don't know why I never used much black before, but I'm trying to get in the habit of going with black instead of just always using my cool gray 9 or warm gray 9. That's my darkest. Big night tonight for sports for me and my wife. We got Oregon Ducks are playing at Stanford. And as I said, Ronda Rousey fights Holly Holm. I don't know if I'm going to get to watch the Rousey fight. I don't have a plan, so that might be my answer right there. We'll watch the Ducks game at home. We talked about maybe going to Buffalo Wild Wings, but I'd have to say that's doubtful. Missing link. One of my next ones for wrestling is going to be Kerry Von Erich. I was a big fan of the Von Erichs, and I had some weird dream last night that I met them at a party or something, which is funny because most of them are dead. Kevin was there. He's still alive, but I think pretty much the rest of them are dead. Really sad story about that whole family. Half of them died to suicide. There's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 brothers. Oh, it's just real tragic. Look it up. There's a good documentary on them. Alright, here's the point where, it's looking decent and whatever. It just needs a lot of tightening up of details, and that's where it's hard to do while I talk. So, and I already told my fist fight stories from my childhood. Didn't know that was going to come up with that. Let's see, I need So I spent a long time, well, that's not what I'm trying to say. When I did that set that I just finished that I was just alluding to, where I was the only artist, I pretty much put everything else aside and worked on nothing but that until it was done for, like I said, a month. And so now I've really got to get back to doing the medical drawings, which is that's a project that's been a long time in the making, and it's a little strange too in that I've never had like a specific deadline, like I need this done by this point, and that makes it easier, it makes it harder for me to stick to anything or whatever, because it's just like, because I do it kind of like that. I do those when I can fit them in, when I'm not working towards an actual deadline. And ultimately, it might have made that project take a lot longer than it should have. The guy I'm working for hasn't made any sort of complaints or anything like that, but I kind of feel like, man, this should have been finished a while ago, but I had to constantly try and, meet some deadlines. So it's really, at least talked a little bit about this, but it's really like, I don't really know what to think of that project. It could pay really, really well once it's all said and done. But there's no guarantees on that because it's all on royalties. And from my understanding, it's going to be some sort of, I've said before that it's a college course book, and that's not what it is. That's what I thought it was initially. And instead, it's some type of a, kind of like a flashcard game for medical students. So it is to do with college materials, but it's not an actual textbook. But I've enjoyed those drawings in a lot of senses, and other times not so much. It's really fun drawing the ones from life, like brains, and from life meaning an actual specimen of a real brain. But lately what I've got is just tons and tons of drawings from models, and those they just aren't as interesting to draw, and in my opinion they don't turn out looking as interesting either. The ones from life I think have the potential to be just really cool looking. There we go, that brighter green, even though that's not very accurate to the photo, I think it is a lot better. I think it brings a lot more life out in the picture. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with the blues too. I must have set this one out here because I wanted to use it. So try it. A lot of times, just a little play-by-play of how I'm drawing. When I'm doing highlights and stuff like that, I'll go back and put those in white. But I don't try and perfect things like this. I just kind of try and skip over those areas that are going to have more highlights so they get a little lighter, and then the highlighted part will make them even lighter. Highlights really is what makes your drawing look cool. It usually brings quite a bit of pop to your end drawing, end result. What do you think? Should I do a skin tone or just leave it with the grays? I'm thinking leave it. Let's get his nose a little more form here. So one of the things, as I am moving towards, art full-time, is I've really got to figure out how can I make doing the videos work for me, for what I'm trying to achieve. And part of that is answering what is it I am trying to achieve. Because I really enjoy the videos. I think it's, and I've gone out to the trouble of getting a camera for this and everything. So I want to keep incorporating that, but like I said, I really haven't had any luck getting a consistent viewership. But there are a number of other artists doing this type of thing and really incorporating videos into their normal routine. You got Gary East, Sketch Cards, Scott Cirkland does a really good job keeping consistent videos coming out, and then those guys on the Artcasters. I don't really know. I fear that part of that has to do with my lack of editing and stuff like that in my videos. I don't want that to be the answer, because I want the videos to be about the content and not about, special effects or whatever, having some catchy music at the beginning, at the intro, or anything like that. I want it to just be about me drawing and talking about drawing, talking about art in some respect. And it's got to be something that people want to listen to. I think I'm somewhere in between, tutorial, where I'm actually saying, this is useful information for other artists. Do it this way. I'm somewhere in between that and just like a dude talking and rambling on about random stuff. That's a big part of what I'm doing, which I like, I enjoy, and I enjoy that from other people too. I like listening to other artists while they're working. I don't really even need to see what they're doing, except that's kind of the whole point of the video, right? I don't know, I gotta figure that out. I gotta do some brainstorming and actually answer some questions about what I want out of my doing videos. Because I feel like this happens fairly often when I'm doing an artcast, and I'm drawing away and having a fairly good time, but then I hit a point where it's like, I'm just talking to myself. I don't really have a thing that I'm focusing on, and I don't really know when or how to wrap it up. I usually I'm trying to get more in the habit of bringing a video to completion, though, because because I'm turning a lot of these into time-lapse videos. That's where that might actually, as I talk this out, that might be what I need to start focusing more on. Is doing a video like this, but rather than leaving it at, I'm going to be pushing an hour here pretty soon. Rather than leaving it at a full hour-long video like I usually do, where I'm talking the whole time and all that, taking a page from, I just mentioned Gary E. I think what he does is he draws, speeds it up to a time-lapse video of, 10 minutes or whatever, and then he goes back over and records him talking about it or about some subject. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe I need to do something a little more focused like that, and that way I won't run into the whole, lost my train of thought because I'm concentrating on the drawing. Because I kind of treat my own artcasts very similar to the ones I've done with the group of guys, the artcasters artcasts. Only I'm the only one here talking and trying to carry on the conversation, so there's no such thing as a lull in my part of the conversation where I can concentrate on what I'm actually drawing and step out of the conversation for a minute. It's just unnatural to be like, okay, I'm going to stop talking while I think about this for a little while. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe I got to try that at least once. I don't know. Because the way it is happening now, it's kind of like I go, I have some time. My wife's gone shopping for a couple hours or whatever. I'm the only one here for right now. So I'm going to I'm going to do an artcast. I'm going to grab something to draw and start talking and just randomly ramble on. And I just feel like that needs some work. Like people aren't going to tune in for that. Unless, I think people would tune in for that if I already had a viewership. I think in a lot of ways, I think I'm interesting enough or funny enough or whatever that I'd be worth listening to. The only problem is people aren't going to start with this. Does that make sense? Like if they see some of my other stuff, they go, this guy's cool to listen to. I'll go ahead and, I'm going to check out one of these hour-long ones and sit here and listen to it. But they're not going to start with the hour-long one. I don't know if that makes any sense. Let's try and get a little more form in here, though I do think it's coming along pretty good. Just kind of, this area could use some work. And maybe I need to, go in at the multi-liner, I think. Boy, feels like it's got some on it. So I think I'm maybe going to throw in the highlights here and call the missing link here done and good. If you have any feedback for me, I'd love to hear it. Do you think I'd be better off doing short videos and dubbing over it with my ramblings and keeping it to more like 5, 10, 15 minutes rather than these hour-longs? Are there people out there? I feel like there's people out there who prefer the hour-longs because I know that I myself do. If I'm sitting down to draw, I'll put on a video of an artist I like, and if it's just the 10-minute ones, they're over so fast, So I actually look forward to the ones like Will Terry, who will go on for 45 minutes sometimes, or the Artcaster ones. So I don't know. I feel like there's an audience for that. I know that, and I've heard Jeff Lafferty say that when he talks about it. I know what you guys want are the really long ones, right? There is an audience for that. I just need to find more of that audience, or help that audience find me. But even still, I think what I was saying earlier is very relevant. That if I'm going to keep up with this, I've got to get more focused with what I'm saying, and either have a topic in hand or a plan of what am I gonna, even if it's not a set topic. Well, what are some things I need to talk about this time? Because I do usually find myself at some point going, okay, well, I'm drawing. I said what I was thinking about saying. What's next? I'm not done drawing, so I can't just stop. I feel like this area needs more work. I'll have to show my friend Gregor. He's a mutual friend of Joe. See if he can see Joe in the missing link here. Joe Kincaid. I did make Joe into a zombie. That was something he was super, super excited about. I drew him as a zombie for the Walking Dead set I did by Cryptozoic. I think it was season 3 Walking Dead. I've also done season 4, or is it 4 and 5 combined? I can't remember. But if I remember, I think Joe passed away before that set actually came out. So even though he saw the drawing I did of him, I don't think he got to see the set actually release and the drawing be a part of it. Though this is kind of a cool story. My buddy Gregor owns that card. The Walker sketch I did of Joe as a walker. for the official set because it popped up on eBay and another mutual friend of ours snatched it up and bought it for Gregor, knowing that it would be something he would cherish, having just lost his buddy, you know. Alright guys, I think we're done here. Let's go ahead and sign it. Actually, one more deet. That's short for detail. Deet, like give me the deets. There we go. Should I go darker on this whole face? I feel like yes, but not much, so don't want to get carried away with it. I don't want to dull down that bright green too much, just a little. Ta-da! All right, there he is, the missing link. Just get a little value back there. Should have thought of that earlier, but oh well, it's never too late. Don't need much. I'll get better at I'm getting a little more focused with some of my backgrounds, but a lot of times it's just about putting in a little bit of value or whatever in there. That's about all I want on this one. Alright, let's check it out. Get it to focus. Wow, doesn't want to, does it? Cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Check me out next time. I'll have another one. Like, subscribe, comment if you would like to. If you have a question or a comment. Later, yo.